Happy to be on.
Oh man, booming, we're live, man. It's been a long time since we've spoken, man. So, well, before we go any further, man, how you doing tonight, Mark?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Doing really good. Just working on new music, working on getting money, uh, networking. Just trying to stay busy, stay active, and just try to keep moving forward.
So basically, New Year, same shit.
Uh, yeah, pretty much. New Year, same shit.
Man, what was man? We were just saying before we going live, man. You seemed like in the middle of the heat and stuff. So, what was your New Year like, man?
Well, right now it started off really good. Not really stressed out or anything. Got a account looking pretty good. Yeah, just this year starting off really well for me. I got a showcase coming up in the summer that I'm doing with my friend Frankie that you interviewed on.
hmm
This year going on. What about you? How's Life as People going on this year?
Oh man, well, we just had our, as you know, we had our 100th edition. So, and I think this year, and I think this, I mean, I particularly think that 2016 is going to be a very momentous year. I think a lot of forces. I mean, we get into this is quite a sort of deep discussion, but I think a lot of two forces are about to clash, and I think there's a force of those who want to control versus those who want, basic non-control and more freedom for human beings. And I think this year is going to be a real big head-on clash between the two, man. I really do. I don't know what you feel like in America at the moment, but I just sort of see that there's a massive awakening in that sense going on
Yeah,
around amongst most people. But again, the forces of those who want to control, those people in the corporations and the states and the government, man, they're not their grip on power is getting tighter and tighter and tighter as every day passes.
yeah, of course. They're trying to keep their control on what's going on right now. But like you said, it's a lot of people waking up. A lot of people starting to realize the tricks that they've been playing on people, the strategies that they've been using. A lot of people are really starting to basically peep game on that and starting to change what they've been doing. So I believe what you're saying is pretty accurate, as in people are actually starting to try to make a change in what they're doing.
Well, man, particularly in America, because I mean, obviously, you got. I mean, this year's particularly all going to be built up for the whole puppet show that is the presidential elections, and already some of the shots fired by people like Trump. And you think, man, it's going to be almost. I don't know how you feel, but looking from the other side of the Atlantic, I just think it's going to be like almost a theatre show, puppet show beyond belief, because it's almost like they've gone to two extreme sides, and you're hearing stuff from. Like, I've heard stuff that Trump said. I thought I would never hear anybody standing up to be in a President's Day. I'm not saying
Yeah,
I'm not saying I agree with it in the slightest, but it's like, wow, he's actually getting up and saying let's build a wall, and you're like, wow, this. I thought I'd never hear an American president say let's build a wall and block us all in. I thought it's unbelievable.
that is very, very ignorant. Saying, and all of his followers are just sheep. It's like they don't really have any opinions or any like self how our self awareness. So they just gonna follow of what the most confident guy says. As even if they believe half of what he's saying, he's just so confident that they're just gonna follow him just because they feel a confidence in him. But Donald Trump is a smart man, though. If I have to give anything to him, he's very smart. He's just showing how much of a mockery the American presidential elections is, or how much of a mockery all the elections are in America. Like they tell us to be sure to vote for the presidential election, vote, vote, vote. But at the same time, we have electoral college who basically decides who's really going to be the president. The people vote is nothing but a popular vote just to see who
Mm.
the people like. But it doesn't matter because the electoral college is the ones who decide who's going to be the president. So I don't even like when they tell people vote or die. Like you not like your vote really doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't. Not in a presidential election. But what I try to get people to do is vote for like local elections. Try to change the mayor in your county first. Then you'll be able to start making a change in people's lives that'll be a bit more immediate.
Yeah, man. 100%. No, I was just saying you cut out a bit then, but no, I mean, you're absolutely 100%, my friend. I mean, I think the thing that's going to really be the defining moment, I think, of this year particularly. And I think more and more people are going to wake up and go, why do I vote somebody in who, once every 4 years I get to speak to, or maybe do the wishes of what I want to do.
Yeah. Like, wait, what did you say? Because you kind of like broke up right there.
No, man, we're having connection problems. And no, I was just saying, I think maybe this year we're going to get more people waking up to the fact that, or maybe they realise, why do I need to vote somebody into a council or an election when basically it's going to boil down to the same point. We touched upon this in our last conversation when you're on the podcast, that it all boils down to basically you are the brains of the central nervous system, and more people have got to realise that, and don't push out the power they have and the control they have to other people that maybe once every 4 years they come around and promise you the world and then disappear again.
Is that is that's a vicious cycle that's been going on in America. I don't understand. Like, we don't really, like, as a people in America, like as the American citizens, we don't, like, we depending on so much of the government's help. Like, instead of just saying, all right, we're going to just mobilize on this and mobilize on this problem, instead of doing that consistently, we'll do it for 2 weeks, a week, and the next thing you know, the thing will just be, it'll just pass. They'll distract us with some other shit, the Super Bowl or something, you know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
one thing I admire about like Europeans is that you guys would be over there in the UK. If you guys don't like something, even if it's something as small as a local election, you would riot that shit, fucking destroy. You feel me? Y'all would fucking destroy a whole block if you don't like, you know, something. In America, it's really hard to get people on the same page for a long amount of time. Like, we could do it for a week, 2, 3 days. After that, it would just, nobody would talk about it again. It would just be gone. Which is something like I don't. That's one thing I don't really like about like Americans. Like our attention span is just shit. It's just really bad.
Yeah, man, but that comes down to you have a media. I mean, as you know, man, I mean, I'm preaching to somebody you know the crack as well as I do. But the media make everything just one attention to the spanner, and that's the whole point. It is to make us all we're just always just distracted by this, that, and the other. And we're always just searching.
Yeah.
We're fearful, and all the time we're dancing around like idiots. Our lives just disappear, and it's like, oh shit, we're 70, and like, what did I spend my whole life dancing around for?
For real, voting for some asshole who's not gonna really do anything for me. The only guy who like really sounds like he's want to help is Bernie Sanders, but in my opinion, if he actually does get elected and like becomes a president and actually starts to help, it will just he might get assassinated, because that's pretty much what happens to anybody who wants to help. They end up going missing, or they end up becoming a serial rapist out overnight, or they end up a coke addict, or they end up getting shot. It's like always something. When a good person comes around, there's always something to happen to them. But when it's a bad person, it's like you could just ride that shit for as long as you want. It's so backwards, and that's why I be trying to get people to understand. Like, if you look at my Facebook page and you see the stuff that I post, like, I just try to spark conversation with people to get them to talk and try to understand exactly the problems that we're facing, because a lot of people don't truly grasp what's going on.
No, you're right, absolutely right, man. I mean that's I mean it makes me laugh about the Bernie Sanders one, man. If he ever came in, I mean he's admitted himself, man. If he ever got to do half of what he did, he'd bankrupt your country. I mean he would do, man. He hasn't got enough. There's not enough. This is one of the things that people need to understand, that we're living in this culture where everyone just thinks that if we just take from the rich, we're all going to be fine. But it's kind of like this is one of the facts that it knocks people over, knocks them on their feet whenever they say it. It's like, if you're earning over $25,000 a year, you are the 1%.
Hmm.
That's the difference, man. I mean, the thing is, it's like we've got to be, instead of just having let's go around, grabbing from everybody else. Let's make more of a production of what, more. Let's
Let's not
reward. Go on.
exactly. Let's not depend on the big corporations. Like, okay, if they wanna give themselves tax breaks, but they don't want to give us, tax breaks, then okay, let's stop participating in the shit that gives them money. Let's stop participating in going to this. Let's stop spending money. Let's not participate in Black Friday. Let's not participate in Christmas or Valentine's Day, even though I pretty much have to because I love my baby. But let's not participate in that. Like let's hurt them. Like like they like money, so let's stop giving them our money. Give the money to the people on a the mom and pop shops. Give them your money. Don't go to Walmart. Give somebody else your money, and you would see a change. It won't happen overnight, but three years down the line, you would see that little mom and pop now has 2 stores, or now has 3 stores, or now they can franchise instead of you just I'm gonna just go to a company that's already been franchised and already's got my money. So that's like just little things that people don't think that would make a difference, but if 100,000 people did it, it would make a huge difference in people's lives. But a
Damn,
lot of people don't see that.
man, you're right, and this is what I mean. I've always thought this is like it's the very reason why kids at school aren't taught economics, because if people understood that like you're just talking about the dollar and all that, and your dollar, my British pound sterling, they're all just bits of paper that the banks
Yeah,
loan to the government, man. It's all paper money. The whole thing is an illusion. And if people could wake up to that fact, they'd be like, well, wait a minute, the real power we have is let's not use their money. Let's start finding other ways to look after each other.
exactly. Exactly, and the funny thing about it in Miami, not Miami, but in the United States, is that the way that they print the money and the stipulations that comes along with it is just totally fucked. Like, okay, they'll print $7 billion, and on that $7 billion, there'll be a 7% interest. Being that being that you owe money that you printed, you owe on new money. It doesn't even make sense. And then to
Hmm.
pay that money, they print more of the money that has a 7% interest on it. Like, it's just a cycle to where at the end of the day, somebody's gonna have to pay for the shit. Like, honestly, like the America's been in such a debt, and they just trying to pay their debt with the same money that's putting them in debt. It's so backwards. It's so backwards, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. And all the time, this is the whole thing. All the time, that's what I was trying to say earlier on. All the time that you look around and you see the inequalities around you. I can tell you one budget that's never been cut in the last 60 years. The military-industrial complex. That's just grown and grown and grown. That's never going to
Bro,
stop,
now it's
man.
like 70% of the United States budget.
And for
Now
what,
it's
man?
crazy.
And for what? For going around the world and just doing what with it, man? This is the lunacy we live in, and it's 2016, and people just don't realise how much money is just being printed to go and build machines that kill other human beings. I don't think they realise the
Thing is,
size.
they don't even need to print the money to get the machines. Like, they really is like whoever takes $1 billion from the United States owes 7% of that $1 billion in interest, like regardless. So if I owe China $1 trillion and I pay China $1 trillion in United States currency, there's still a 7% interest on that somebody got to pay,
Hmm.
which is just like how and people. And the funny thing is that there's so many documentaries, so many videos on YouTube, internet, Google, that people could look up and see, or I've shown people this and they'll just look at it like, oh, that's interesting, and then the next day they go about doing the exact same shit. It's like, damn, yo, our attention is fucking horrible, and it's like it's strategic. Like, I guess I give the 1% credit because they fucking had a hell of a plan and it's fucking working and it still works.
Yeah, man, and that's my point, man. I remember being, back in the day when I was your age and thinking, I used to have maybe a bit of compassion for people around thinking, okay, it's understandable you don't know these things about how money works and about how it's all. That's okay. I've had to do a lot of study in libraries, but in 2016, no, man, Google it. Like you say, go on YouTube. There's no excuse for this shit anymore, and the only excuse for it is you're lazy and you're weak-minded. And if you're weak-minded, then you're doing it. You have a choice. You can sit down tonight and you can spend an hour of your life sat in front of that TV watching X Factor or America's Got Talent, or you can spend that hour and upload your mind, have some know some knowledge. And everybody's got that choice to make, and it's the choice they make. There's nobody putting a gun to their head to say you watch X Factor. It's their choice, but it's a weak mind as I see it.
Exactly, and it's not gonna work if you force them to do it. That doesn't work. Learn anything. They have to literally open their mind to receive this information. If they don't, then it's just gonna be another sheep or another lost person. You know, it's it's tough, man. It's tough being like one of the only people to kind of understand what's going on and try to enlighten people on what's going on, and they just shrug it off. It's amazing, honestly. Like, people will act like they want to make a change, and they will post a lot of stuff saying I want this and that to change, and then when you propose them with an idea or with a plan to make a change, they don't want to do it. They don't want to. It's easy. It's very easy to lead somebody in the wrong direction. Better more as to lead them in the right direction, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, man,
You know,
but yeah, I mean, I always sort of got to bear in mind, you've got to bear, most people, the reason I think they are like they are, and what reason why that the great Bill Hicks line about them being sheeple, I think the reason that most people are
yeah,
sheeple is because they're comfortable. They've had 16
yeah,
years of of training through education and being told that don't worry about things, you're always going to be looked after. They live in a very comfortable environment. Added on to the fact, man, this is the thing. You've got sun every day of the year, man. So your life is very comfortable. So, and they think this is going to go on forever. But hey, man, this is history's taught us. If you, I guarantee, if you've gone to the British Empire 100 years ago, we thought it was going to last forever. We never thought we were going to, not be rulers of the waves. That's how people are, man. They can become comfortable and they become in a
yeah.
bubble, but
Very
they don't.
complacent. They become very complacent to the point where they don't want to change any of that. Even if you tell them, oh, religion isn't even older than uh, mathematics, no, or religion isn't even half as old as astrology or science, and then you go along to tell them this, and you start presenting facts of how bullshit it is. The next Sunday they will be in church. You're like,
Hmm.
man, they will be in their mosques or whatever other religion they believe in. They will be there. Like, they will not change regardless of how many facts you bring in front of them, which is just mind blowing to me. But at the same time, that's kind of how human nature is. Like, when we find a spot where we're really comfortable in, we don't want to move from that, regardless of how much better or how much more paradise we can have. We get really complacent really fast.
Yeah, man, and that's why, I mean, that's what, for all the solutions that people talk about, how we talk about this year and how what's coming up in 2016, but all the solutions you hear about people, but we need political solution or military solutions and stuff. It all breaks down to basically we've got to get to people with everything, and we've got to see every idea, every concept, every ideology. We've got to put it on a seat of reason, and this is the whole thing with all religions. And I don't care, man. And I think it's about time that we start tackling this head on because, like you said, it's imperative because people are killing other human beings on the idea that they're going to go to a paradise. So they're basically sacrificing their machine, the ability, this great momentous moment we have of life, and the fact we can breathe and communicate, and how we have a conscious mind, and they don't see that as anything at all worth living for, because on the other side they're going to be rewarded, and that is nonsense. And we've got to sit that
Yeah,
down and
that's pretty bogus, because how many people have actually came back and was like, "Yo, that shit is raw over there. When you die, you gotta hurry up and die, man, because it's fucking paradise over there." I don't know one person who came back and told me that shit, so I can't even believe it. Honestly, like, you gotta really just get to the point where can I even believe what you're telling me? Like, honestly, like, how can you be a preacher in the inner city neighborhood, but fucking Jesus is white and got blonde hair and blue eyes on your?
hmm
It doesn't make sense. And then 2 hours later, you're gonna ask me for $20. Like, what the fuck? Like, why are you even asking for money in God's name? It doesn't. None of that stuff makes sense to me. Regardless of what religion you is, you gotta pay some kind of price. And then, like, even though everybody knows Scientology is just pretty much just bogus, like, you pretty much gotta pay to become a higher level in Scientology. Like, what? Like, it doesn't make sense at all. And nobody sees the money grab. And Joel Osteen can fucking sell out the American Airlines arena. You know what I'm saying? But he will not build a house for a child or a homeless family. And religious money isn't even taxed, which is even more fucking bogus. Like, you could get $3 billion and you won't have one tax on that.
yeah,
It
man.
just sounds like it's a part of a bigger scheme.
Well, that's what I've always found hilarious. I mean, like you say, I mean, it's easy, and people quite, quite openly mock, something like Scientology because we know that L. Ron Hubbard had a driving license. We can go back and see pictures of him. We know he was a normal guy, but it's hilarious. We laugh at that, but suddenly, if it's over 500 years old, or God hope, beyond belief, it may be 2,000 years old. Suddenly, these words are like, oh, they're ancient, so they must be really. And you're like, this is ridiculous. Even, I mean, I'm not even going to get into it, man. I mean, I came from a religious background, so I know it all completely. I understand the fundamentalist mind and how they see the world. But it's like you said about all preachers, man. All preachers are preaching stuff that basically the whole book is a big cobbled together bits and pieces. I mean, what bits are you talking about? The bits we picked up, the bits that they decided over the centuries they were going to put in.
Exactly,
I
exactly,
mean, mate,
exactly.
I remember it was I remember being 21 and I went over to South Africa and picked up a book over there and it was called Black Christ and it dealt with exactly that issue you talked about, how Jesus Christ was portrayed as this white guy with blue eyes, and you suddenly start realizing not only is that historically wrong, that he would never be a white guy, but even deeper than that, you realize how that mentality, that ideology was basically kept to justify a lot of slavery, because it was kind of like white was bad,
Yeah,
white is pure, bad is
light is pure,
black
angel,
is
angelic.
evil. Exactly, my friend. And then
Yeah,
suddenly
you
you
can look
got,
at it. You can look in the Webster dictionary and see that the how the difference between black and white has been presented, or in any other kind of light, movies, TVs, whatever. How even though black and white is both an absence of color, they both somehow it seems like black is some kind of evil force of energy or something. It's just really retarded. It's really really retarded to me, honestly.
no, that's not. I mean, it stems from, my friend. Maybe I can, this is an angle I can come from. I'm British born and bred, man, and I tell you that actually because the average white person, and I speak generally, but they can't hack it in 6 months in the Congo, man. And everything inside the Congo is mysterious. So suddenly, if you're coming across a really big, and I swear this, man, I said it's where it all comes from. You're I don't know. You're talking maybe 200 years ago, 300 years ago, and the average person over here was maybe 5'1", 5'2", very small people. You know what I mean? And they're walking into the middle of Africa. They're fighting, battling diseases, malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever, and suddenly they come across these big 6-foot guys who are shining black, almost blue black. They're all built like motherfuckers, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And suddenly, what are you going to do, man? You're going to fear, aren't you? Because you think you're the master race, and suddenly you're meeting a guy that's bigger, stronger, all the things that you
But
fear.
at the same time, this guy's giving you clothes, showing you magic, showing you science, showing you how to eat, how to feed yourself.
Damn right, man.
You feel me? But how do you even get in your mind is like, I gotta control this shit, or I gotta, you feel me? Like, how do you even get into your mind if somebody could come and help you for 300 years, and then you just feel like, you know what, I gotta enslave all of these people because I want to make a certain profit. I'm being like, yeah, yeah,
That,
yeah. But
Man, but that's the thing about slavery as well, and that's another one of the great. Again, it only takes a bit of research, and this is what I was trying to say to you earlier on. I mean, it only takes an hour of your life to realize that slavery wasn't a white invention. Slavery's been going on for human
oh,
beings,
of course.
man, and that's the point,
How
man. I
do you
mean,
think? How do you think we build pyramids?
hmm
Nobody. How do you think pyramids were built, or the pyramids by the Aztecs or by the Mayans? That nobody volunteered for that at all. There was no volunteer saying, "Yes, I want to give my life to building this monument." But at the same time, it wasn't a kind of slavery where, all right, in, let's say I live in Iran, okay? I live in Iran. I'm finna fucking go to Miami and get all of the Miamians, and we're going to Iran, and that's where I'm gonna have my slavery. And I'm gonna make sure they don't learn nothing about where they came from, nothing about their roots, nothing about their true power, nothing about their original, nothing about their origins. I'm gonna erase all of that. All you know is that you was a slave here first.
hmm
That's the difference between the slavery that Europeans did and the slavery that any other race did. We wasn't trying to uproot anyone to make them our own. We were. It was just basically slavery, prisoners of war. you know, we conquered you, and the people who don't want to agree, okay, we gonna be slaves. That's typical war stuff right there. But the
Hmm.
other kind of slavery is kind of like a form of genocide, you know, in a way, a mental genocide, as in a billion of you guys don't know anything about where you're from. That's genocide to the brain. You know, that could cause problems 2,000 years from now that you won't understand why. You don't know why these kids run around shooting each other. You don't know why I want a gold chain. You know, you don't know why I want gold teeth. This is something that's been in our lineage for the longest, but it's been erased. So when you do see me with this, or when you do see me with my hair locked up, you're gonna think that I'm rebellious or I'm trying to stand out. But in actuality, it's just in my DNA. You know, this is, and I don't even know this is in my DNA. You understand? It's like I don't know who I am, but all I know is just this is something I'm doing out of force of habit. You know, and that's
Yeah.
one thing that a lot of people don't understand about African Americans and the kind of slavery and stuff that we face. You know, a lot of people don't realize it like that.
No, man, and I think the other thing, I mean, particularly is a difference in America when I gaze across the, looking at, over the states, is it's all very much, it's a lot more relevant to you, man. I mean, it was only, just before I was born that this was kicking off with Rosa Parks and stuff. I mean, whereas over here we never had that institutionalized. We never had, blacks only at the back of the bus and stuff. So there's a lot more raw in America, man. But this is one of the great things, man. I mean, this is I think one of the positive elements of human beings. You consider that only 60, 70 years ago it was that segregated and that black and white about everything. And I don't mean that in an ironic way. I meant in the sense of everything was black and white.
It literally
But
was, yes.
but you think, from that to this, look how gently it's happened. We're talking now, man. It only takes 2 or 3 generations, and before you know it, we're like, wow, it's amazing. We haven't, if you had taken a bet maybe 60, 70 years ago, you would have looked and thought, oh, I can see this bending messily. It's going to be a big civil war between one tribe or another tribe, and it hasn't turned out that way, man. All you need to do is just
Oh,
people to connect with each other. And look, there's always people that are small-minded, man. Do you know what it always is? I think small-minded people always comes from that mentality. They don't understand that we're living on one rock, and that on other parts of this rock right now, there's people who have different ideals, different cultures, different outlooks. That's what I say to people, man. I'd love to drop the average racist from America or from Britain and go, okay, I'll put you in the middle of, I don't know, Gabon, and we'll leave you there for 6 months, and then we'll see how you feel.
exactly.
I wanted to chime in real quick.
Go on, Rich.
Yeah, what Mark was saying really resonated again with that idea with the morphic resonance. And it's. Have you ever heard of? Oh God, his name just skipped my mind. Rupert Sheldrake.
Rupert Sheldrake?
Sheldrake, yeah.
I don't believe I have.
Look him up. He has a real fascinating idea of how things work, of how there's things that happened in our past will affect our grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren, and not only that, but they'll affect people that are very like you genetically
Yeah.
across the whole earth. And
Yeah, oh, go ahead. Finish the statement.
yeah, look him up. He has the TED Talks is pretty good, but there's like a 1-hour talk that he gives it'll blow your mind, because if he's right, it actually coincides with all kinds of ideas of quantum physics, entanglement theory, and it all just makes sense.
I've heard of I haven't heard of that guy's name, but I've heard of that philosophy before, and how people and our feelings and how we feel actually affects the environment around us. And if that is true, then just how a soldier would come back from war and his mind would be messed up, just like that. Being in a family that has slaves, and from what they had to go through, 3 generations down the line, we would be extra aggressive, or we would be extra regressive, or we would have certain kind of mental disabilities that we wouldn't even be diagnosed with, because they don't even want to acknowledge the fact that because your great-great-grandpa was a slave, and from what he experienced and what he seen when he had a kid, it passed down to them. That don't want to be acknowledged. And if that was actually acknowledged, then we probably would actually probably come across some kind of solution to help the kids that's in Chicago, or the kids that's in Miami Gardens, or the kids that's in New York or in California. You know, it's like no one actually wants to take this initiative or do the research and actually see if this is actually a possibility.
Uh,
But
I,
I
I
I would like if you could send me a link to the guy's name after the interview.
Yeah, we'll do.
that Jim.
Yeah, we'll do, man.
That's awesome. And then my wife and I were talking about it the other morning because of a dream I had had, and what I was thinking is, you know, there's the possibility that once you recognize how life works, how we resonate with our past and in our family's past, and with everybody around us, then maybe science can move towards how do we get beyond the historic trauma, how do we get beyond the racism, how do we get beyond this, and maybe that's the next step, is actually acknowledging that morphic resonance does exist, and it does explain some of the hard science that nobody can really explain, like quantum physics. It actually works quite nicely with that whole thought, of how things get entangled with each other. You can have two things that are close to each other, and if they have been close to each other for a long time, they start resonating with each other, and then when you move them apart from each other, one will still react when one has something forced upon it. Like the idea of a proton or being in two different places at the same time, and when you cause an action on one, it happens instantly, even though it's separated by miles or hundreds of miles. And that's the idea of, anyway, I'll let you
No,
guys.
I really agree. I totally agree that 1,000%, because it's kind of similar to how twins react to each other. As in, they've been together for 9 months inside of the stomach or whatever. And I've had instances talking to twins where they'll think the same thing. You'll touch one of them and the other one will feel it, or they'll feel each other emotions even though they're miles away. That I'm pretty sure that happens with not just I'm sure that happens with everything inside of the universe, because at the same time we're all just one energy, we're all just one thing. We all came from one species of people, we all came from one continent, we all came from one section of this planet, even if it was a black guy who was here first or a white guy who was here first. At the end of the day, if one of us was here first, that means we all came out of that. So with the disharmony going on right now, it has to be something that happened in the past that's causing this now, because now that it's such disharmony with people, the earth is starting to react to that the same way. Now we're having global warming's been going on for a decade now. Earthquakes happening all over the place. It's just getting to the point where it's like it's so much disharmony in the human species that it's just destroying everything now. It's just getting really, really bad. Slowly, but it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, I mean, that's where it breaks down to, goes back to what I was trying to say earlier on. That's why everybody's got to wake up and realize you are the brains of the search. Don't rely on everybody else to come to your rescue. The only person, this is one of the things we're all taught, that someone's going to charge down on a big white horse and save us all. Well, no. I mean, I had a great. It was on this podcast a few months ago, and the best analogy I've ever heard. He said, life is like being chucked out of a plane, and you're chucked out, and the parachute is chucked out after you. And while you're falling, you've got to find that parachute. You've got to strap it on. And hopefully get to a soft landing. That's the reality. That is the true reality of life. And the thing is, this is what I think. This is why I said at the beginning of this conversation, I think it's going to be a very momentous year this year, because I think what we're seeing for the first time, and again, history backs this up, whenever people have come together and they've shared information and they've been able to be free and converse ideas and exchange thoughts and processes, then generally it's like anything else, it leads us to a great enlightenment, like we had over in Europe, or like it's been in the Middle East at times and stuff. It's always been when free expression and people had to come together, and we're seeing this right now. And this is what I think is going to really happen this year. I think we're going to get more and more of this idea of human beings connecting and forming networks, or we're basically building step by step a swarm intelligence. And I
Yeah.
think that's going to be something that we've never had ever before. You know, 20. I'm old enough to think, wow, I dreamt of this 20 years ago. I dreamt for the day we're like, wow, we can, if we could just all connect and we could have the ability with no middlemen and no barriers, and we could just all express things and have some things that are private and so on, just like life itself, without all these constructions around us. If we could get to that point, it would be such you know, a an enlightening experience for us all as a species. And I think for the first time we're going to get there, because it's, you know, and that's why I was trying to say earlier on. But we got don't. I'm not sitting back on the boat thinking it's all easy sailing, because as I said before, we still got these forces in control, and you know this breaks down to the reason why we have got this dissidence in our world is because it's come from these puppet masters who have played us all like, you know, like toys, all generation after generation. You know, First World War, Second World War. We just ploughed into what, and we do it all for what? For kings and queens who, you know, it's the old line,
For
kings
people
and
who would
queens.
never even hold a M, you would never hold an M16. You know, for people who would never even go to that shooting range or be out on that battlefield. That's the people who use propaganda to get us to fight for stuff that won't even affect us at all. Not in a positive way. The only thing that you're gonna get out of that is post-traumatic stress. That's what you're gonna get. You know.
Exactly, Mark, and that's the whole point. And if you want to take this into a kind of metaphysical level, that's the point. All these traumatic dreams, all these traumatic human beings, that's got to be putting an energy out onto this planet. And it's not only the people who are causing it, and like you said, the guys who have to go in there with the M16s or fly the planes or whatever it may be, but it's the people living under that. I mean, you can't imagine what it'd be like to living in some part of like Africa, and you think, man, anytime a plane goes over, or not even knowing a plane goes over, some bomb could drop on my head. The stress and the
Exactly.
torment that not only is through the daytime, you know, conversations, how you interact with human beings, but when you switch off at night time, all that energy is just going to flow out into the greater universe, and it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah. It has to. It has to go somewhere. Energy doesn't. You can wind the window up a little bit. Energy isn't. It doesn't. It's never destroyed. It's only transferred. You know. So it's going to have to go somewhere. If someone's feeling some kind of fearful energy, it has to go somewhere. You know. That's just how it works. That's how the universe works.
Yeah, man, that's what I think it breaks down to. I think it breaks down to a simple thing. I think it's basically it's fear or love, and you've got to make a simple choice. Do you go on the side of fear, or do you go on the side of love? Love wants you to open up your arms and see the world in all the positive senses, and think, okay, there's enough resources on this planet to feed everybody. We can go and explore space. The side of fear wants you to stay indoors, shut yourself away, be fearful of everyone, fear everyone out there, and just, you know, becoming more and more isolated and just, you know, die a lonely death. And I know which one I want to be on. And it's as simple as, I don't care if it's religion teaching me fear, I don't care if it's a corporation teaching me fear, I don't care if it's the media teaching me fear, or anybody that preaches fear to me, I'm like, no, you're that negative energy that we do not need on this planet.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. That sounds very accurate. The main person preaching about, oh, we need to get this, we need it so we all could. You're the guy who's pulling the cards. You know, you're the guy who's pulling the strings. You know, because it wasn't even, if you were trying to have it fair, you wouldn't even be bringing that up. You would just be doing what you need to do to make it fair for everybody else. Yeah, especially if you're the top 1%. But sometimes I try to put myself in their shoes. If I got $2 trillion and I don't want that to go, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I would spend $500 million to keep the majority of my money.
Hmm.
You know, so that's pretty much what they're doing. You know, people get paid off. People get like I look at it like the media sources. Like it's only about 6 companies. You know, who's doing the media, and they're all owned by pretty much the same people.
Hmm.
So if anything you're reading, seeing, if the majority of this stuff is on TV or radio or newspaper, 9 times out of 10, it's something that they want you to read or it's want you to see. That's why it's so. That's why I like the internet so much, because it's not regulated. You know, at least not yet. And they're trying to do that now with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, trying to regulate the internet. And I don't think that's something that they should even be able to do. You know, because once the internet's regulated, then there's really no freedom of speech anywhere at all.
No, man, and that's exactly the reason why I sit on this podcast week after week and fly the flag for the safe network, because the current network as it is never going to change. I mean, they're formed on a system of only 6 servers in the world, and they love to cooperate and they love to sit there and watch and regulate. So that's why I fly the flag for a new internet that says no. For this time, it is completely open and decentralized, and nobody can stick in. Because as you said, Mark, it's essential because. I've seen history, and people. This is why people need to observe history. That those who want control, once they get their hands, as we are now, and they start to put their sticky fingers into, you can't say this, you can't say that. Before we know it, we're not allowed to have any conversations at all. And this is what always gets me. People think, oh yeah, but that was just Germany. That'll never happen again. I'm like, you need to wake up and realise what will happen, man. If you think that just because you live in America or you live in Great Britain that these people won't open up these and go down the same line, you are greatly fallen. You need to spend that hour on the internet and just Google search anything, and you'll find out the answers, and you'll find out who's really playing what on this planet.
Exactly. You all remember CISPA when they were trying to pass that back in 2012, and Yahoo, Google, a lot of the big guys came out against it.
The Trans-Pacific Partnership, right?
No. Well, it's not that, but it's probably has a lot. Actually, CISPA, in order to comply with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, had to be passed in order for the U.S. to be in compliance with that trade agreement. And CISPA is the Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act, which was pushed back in 2012 and defeated. They couldn't pass it through Congress because everybody that read the bill said no. All this is doing is allowing the U.S. government to look at everybody's information anytime they want, and it's unconstitutional, and we don't need it. But what they did is they passed it a month ago. They passed it they put it as a rider on the omnibus bill at the end of 2015 that was signed into law. So even though it was defeated, they put it as a rider on another bill so that nobody knew what was going on, and by the time people caught wind of what was going on, it was too late. It was passed. The whole large omnibus bill, which was like $1 trillion bill, which actually gave $500 billion tax cuts to God knows who, But the point is that this is a battle that can't be won at the democratic level. Just like you said, the presidents they're pre-chosen.
Mm-hmm.
They're all CIA operatives at some level, and to it. The only way that we will exceed or succeed as a free people around the world is to create a system that gets around it with technology, luckily there's a lot of things like MaidSafe being developed. I think MaidSafe is by far the best one, but there's going to be a lot of other developments like Demon Saw. You look around in the decentralized technologies, and a lot of very, very intelligent people are working really hard on making sure that we lock in freedom of speech, freedom to communicate. So, anyway, I just wanted to pass that along, because that cyber intelligence bill that was defeated is now law because it was put on as a rider in the omnibus bill that was passed in December. I just thought I'd put that out.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's why I be trying to tell people, like, you gotta stay in the loop, pay attention to what's going on, because I forgot what it was called, the national, what it was, like a reserve. I forgot but it was just basically like a martial law bill that Obama passed, and I've showed people this, and I've read it to them, and it's basically detailed everything that the government could do in a event of martial law, and everybody look at it like, Obama signed this? What? When did this happen? And I'm like, yeah, this shit is happening, and nobody's fucking paying attention because you want to watch Basketball Wives, or you want to watch real creatures of LA and shit. Like, it's like I said, man, there's so many fucking distractions. Basketball Wives. Distractions, man.
No, exactly it, my friend. And this is the point, and this is why people need to realize. I mean, again, this is why I can only say to you, I'm from this part of the world where I'm closest to people like Paris. I mean, Paris has still got martial law from what happened in November, and you want to read up what they can do under martial law in Paris at the moment. They can just walk into people's houses, do
whatever.
ransack your house, do whatever they like, and then walk away. And there's no judicial, no law about this stuff. And this is Paris. This isn't some backward third
Yeah,
world country. This is Paris, which is seen as this
exactly.
shining light of
Fashion
you know.
capital of the world, and they could do that over there.
hmm that's the thing, man, and this is one of the things that's why I kind of think it's going to be an interesting year this way, because I don't know. I mean, one of the things I've seen, particularly in the last year, and I wanted to sort of discuss this with you tonight, Mark, was how if it's starting to affect you being a musician going out there. I've spoken to a number of comedians, and they're saying that they're really starting to find that they're being asked before they go up, what jokes they're going to be talking about, who they're going to be mentioning, and all this kind of stuff. Into the point there, I spoke to a few, and they're saying they're no longer going to do any kind of college circuit because they have to pre-show their scripts or tell the people they're going to do jokes about. And I thought, okay, that's fair enough. That's comedians right now, and this isn't coming from the top. This is all coming from student unions and stuff. So what I'm trying to say to you is this starting to creep into your world? Do you have venues where it's saying to you, look, what songs are you going to be playing? Or something we would prefer you not to play this, or as yet has that not sort of
Well, it hasn't actually, because I like, most of the time no one would get really pissed off after a hip hop show or a rock show versus a comedy show, because with comedy it's a little bit more intimate. It's no music, it's no beat, so it's like every word you're saying is really monitored. Like, I've seen multiple comedians about to get in a fight with some girl's boyfriend after saying some shit like that. So with comedy it's a little different, but with my music, I never really been asked to not do this song or not do that song, even though I have a lot of, like, I'm not gonna say anti-establishment, but when you're pro-black, they kind of make it seem like you're anti-establishment for some reason. But that's pretty much, I've never really been asked that before, because I don't know, either they don't feel like my music is like that offensive, because I don't think it is. So I don't know if they would what would be the reason for them to ask me to kind of pre-discuss with them what I have going on. But I've never been asked that ever at all. I've just, if they invited me to do a show, they've seen what I've done and they really dig it, so that's why they'll have me to come. And even if they did ask me what song I was gonna do with this or that, if they was like, "Oh, don't do this song," I would agree with them. But at the same time, I would still do the song. I would just do it anyway, because I don't like being censored, you know. So I would still do my song or my joke or my art piece regardless. I wouldn't censor myself, because if it's censored, what the fuck are you learning? Nothing. You don't learn how I'm looking at the situation. So how would we learn and grow together if everything's censored? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly, my man, and that's why I think that I said before. I think this is why it's going to be a very momentous year, because I'm quite happy to talk about N99, but this is the idea. I mean, platforms like N99, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of them, but the idea of where we get to a world where people are rewarded directly and no middlemen. This is going to change the music industry. It's going to change the film industry. It's going to change everything, and I relate this a lot to. And I think, I'm old enough to see when grunge rose and it came out, beginning of the year, nobody was into grunge. And by the end of the year, every, hippy dippy was walking around wearing, flared trousers and making out they were Kurt Cobain. And the same with hip hop. And I see this is going to be the same again. I think once the creative element understand that there's going to be new channels and technology that are going to be able to say to them, wow, you're going to be able to do these things like you say. No one's going to come in and send you stuff, and no one's going to be able to come in and take your stuff away. You're going to be able to say what you like, and your audience will be able to direct you, directly one-to-one. It's going to change everything, and I don't see, and I listened to a lot at the end of the year. I was listening to, reading articles, and they were talking about what's going to be the biggest things of the year, and nobody mentioned it. Nobody mentioned the idea that the music industry is about to change fundamentally, and how the film industry is about to change fundamentally, let alone every other thing you can think about, and they just do not see the what's about to come around the corner with this decentralized technology. Nobody sees it. I don't know whether it's spoken about in your circles and stuff like that. But what I'm trying to say is, Mark, and this is what I think is going to be great about this year coming up, particularly, is that we can start saying to people, look, You don't need anybody else. You can do this yourself. Like you were just saying, you can be the person that controlling your destiny. You don't need to have anybody else coming along to you. And I think once we've got that tool,
Exactly.
to give to people, and that starts to spread, I just think it's going to be like the first time I equate it to. It's like 6 years ago, nobody had smartphones, and within a year, everybody was rocking a smartphone to the point now, who
Yeah.
walks around? Who's rocking a flip phone? Nobody. We weren't given
No.
instructions, but what it was, it made sense. It was a better technology, and we all went to it. And that is what's coming really soon. And this is where it's going to fundamentally change everything, because the minute you give the creator of people, the people who make stuff, music and everything else, all this, the films, and they're the creators, you give them the power, and they're getting funded immediately by themselves. Man, they haven't got a clue, because the world thinks that the music industry is all about Taylor Swift and whatever. That's all they see, is, and they go, oh, it's just but as you know, there's such a great scene underneath the surface, just waiting for its moment. And I do think this year is going to be the moment where, like I say, where beginning of the year in '94, nobody heard about grunge, and by the end of it, everybody's into grunge. And I think it's going to be exactly the same this way around. And I don't see anybody in the establishment, anybody in the record industry, nobody's got an idea what's coming, and it's going to hit them like a train.
It is already actually pounding them over the head right now. What's going on is, like, no one really wants to sign to a label anymore, because there really isn't a point, unless, like, you're trying to be mainstream, like a Taylor Swift or, a Kanye West or some shit like that. But all in all, you really don't need a record label to become a successful artist, and that's what a lot of labels are seeing now. Like, people will sell their stuff on iTunes, people will sell their stuff on, TuneCore, Amazon. You don't need a label to distribute your music for you. You don't need a label to promote your music for you. You don't need a label to do photo shoots or to record, and like, now you don't even need a recording studio. You need a good computer, a good program, a good microphone. That takes away a $1,200 investment right there. And with photo shoots, fucking the iPhone 6 is its own camera in itself. Like they shoot some of their advertisement with the iPhone camera just to show you how good it is. And I have a Note 4, but this camera is great as well. So you don't necessarily even need a camera to shoot a music video or to do a video shoot. You get a good editing software, and you're good to go. You can have your music videos, you can have your photo shoots, you can have your promo videos, your singles, your albums, your mixtapes. Get your own website, about $50-$60 for a year. What's the use for a label, honestly? And now they're scrambling to the point where they're trying to get like partnerships with YouTube, which I believe they already did. So where indie artists would have to pay to post their stuff on YouTube. But I honestly believe if that was to happen, YouTube would just really be putting themselves in a hole with indie artists, because that's like the majority of the music on YouTube now is indie artists, unsigned artists.
Mm-hmm.
So I see the labels trying to do their little power grabs to try to marginalize the artists to even more, to where you only can see their artists, the artists that they're signed to. But like you said, Tim, this shit is finna hit them over the head like a ton of bricks, because the amount of art that is being displayed on the internet, they just cannot keep up with it at all. With their high productions and all of this, they still can't keep up with it. So it is really becoming a turning point to where the internet has given people a lot of power, and we just gotta understand to utilize this. Share this information that we could get, and we would be to the point where we could push ourselves to a higher plateau.
Damn right, man. I mean, I equate the current internet that we're talking through right now. It's kind of like having a steam-powered car. It's better than a stagecoach. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's better than a horse. And I got a seat and a steering wheel. But man, that's what I'm saying. When what drives me at the moment is like, okay, I could be happy with the Steam, and right, Mark, trust me, man. I mean, when I was in the band 20 years ago, I would have dreamt of being now, and that's why I always say people who go, oh, I can't create, I can't. I'm like, come on, man, you've got all the tools, like you said. But to me, that's not good enough. I don't like the idea that right now that someone like yourself can put up a video on YouTube. It can get, say, I don't know, 2,000 views, and what do you get back for that? You've done all the work for YouTube. And all they've done is been like a some fat, lazy parasite, put you a platform and said, okay, you do all our advertising, you get the networking, you get the viewers in, and we will give you bugger all. But I'm like, no, that's the old world, man. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's why I put the benchmark, that's why I called it N99. Because I want the only one that's going to compete with me is somebody who goes, I'll give you 100% of what you make. And the reason I've taken 1% is just to keep the network going, and to take them to the website and stuff. But this is the point. I mean, we live in a world now. That's what gets me. You're right. All these things happen. And I sit there and look at all these companies and think, how can Apple justify taking X percentage? A great fact I heard the other day. I was listening to a David Lee Roth interview, and to this day, he's only getting 5% of anything he made with Van Halen. 5% of all that stuff. So when he ever jumps played, he's getting like 5 cents in a dollar or something for it. It's absolutely scandalous. And what do these people do for it? And that's what I'm taking. This is what's going to happen this year. We've seen record companies shrink, and now we're going to see the real big revolution, which is going to be when people go, oh, wait a minute, I don't need Apple. I don't need any of these people. I can do it myself, put it out there, and I'm going to be paid directly one-to-one. I don't need to go through any middleman, and that's going to change the world. And good luck and good on it, because I'm sick and tired of all these bloated companies that sit there like Apple and Facebook and SoundCloud and all these people. They just get lazy. They just think they take their users for granted and go, well, we've got them forever, just like TV used to do, just like everyone used to do, like record companies used to do. I mean, man, the record companies are still trying to charge you like $12, $15 for a CD. That's how lazy they are. That's the mentality they have. And it's like, no, we're in a new age now, and this is what's going to happen. And this is what I'm saying. No more of it. Even the Google, even the Apple taking 20% off you is going to be like, no, I don't want 20% taken off me. I can go places where nobody takes anything off me, and that's going to change everything.
Yeah, that's the revolution right there, Tim. The point to when we get to we don't need big corporation to do what we want.
Mm-hmm.
But the spot where we're at right now is their big corporation is still trying to keep us under their thumb. They're still trying to keep that control going on within what they're doing. But it's like trying to fucking control a eel or a octopus. It's just gonna keep slipping and slipping. Then it's just gonna get to the point where we're gonna grab you and be like, look, this is what we need from you to stop doing this, or to to where we get to the point where we can make the demands. Because at the same time, at the end of the day, they're not going to let go of the big media outlets that they have. Like it would do so much help for artists if your face was on MTV or something. That would do really a lot for you. That would boost you 2-3 years ahead of what how much work you're doing. And that's one thing that they're trying to hang over artists' heads. Like, you could do it independent, but at the same time, if you want to accelerate yourself to the next level quicker, you should join us. So you should, so that's like a problem that we face every day. Like, is it best to stay indie at this point, or is it best to at least get like some kind of distribution deal with a label or something, to still try to make it mainstream or to get to a higher level,
Well, man, do you know how I feel about this? This is how I honestly feel about this. I relate. As you know, I've spoken about this a lot tonight. I've got a fascination with history, and I always sort of think, and I come this from an artist's point of view. And if you've gone back just 100 years, time, and you've gone to all the big galleries in London and Paris, you would have seen all these artists that have come up, and they would all have been, of the time, and it would have been like, wow, how many of these people do we remember now? The point I'm trying to make is that I say to people all the time, like, really, why go and chase becoming a mainstream artist or even chase a record company deal, because I think once it all changes, hip hop's a very good example. Hip hop rose from the streets and it took over everything. And the whole point was it. You had all these people who at the time were in part of the labels, all trying to jump and go, oh, well, I'm not associated with the labels anymore. And look at me, I'm a credible street thing. And that's going to happen again. And this is what I'm trying to say, because the power at the moment of, like you said, why should we live in a world where we have to demand out of other people to give us their little spotlight? No, we do it ourselves. We build it ourselves. If we want a network, we get a network. And this is what's going to happen. And all the time, more and more, every step along the way, every day that passes, more and more tools are coming our way to say we don't need to demand anything else. We don't have to go there, cloth in hand, and please, mister, can you give me a contract? Can I have a spot on your TV? No, fuck it. We build our own TV networks. We do it all ourselves. We don't need these people. Their day is gone. And the reason they've done it all so fast is because they control money and they've controlled the means of access to production. And these things have disappeared now, man. We've got our hands on the tools, and we do not need to go happy, like at some old, like some old Victorian schoolboy to those who are supposedly in control and say, please sir, can I have my moment? No, we do it ourselves, man. That's the real wake up moment for people, and go, don't demand things, do it yourselves. And the great thing with technology and what's being built now, you can come out to the world and say, man, perfect example, Mark, I am no coder by any existence. My idea of N99 has just been me, almost like this, just week after week saying this is what I want, and if you say it long enough, someone will go out and build it. And this is the thing about the new world. You don't have to demand, you just have to say, this is what I want, this is the problem, this is what I think the solution would be. And if you say it like that, the mind comes together, the swarm mind starts to collaborate, and people come along together and go, okay, we'll build that. And before you know it, it's built. And then you'd have to go and demand it from a record company. You build it yourselves. And that's with everything, not just music, with everything in your lives. And it's that whole point of what I was trying to say earlier. It's getting people to understand you are the brains. If you want something, do it yourself. Don't rely on anybody else.
I agree with you on that. That's 100% accurate with what you're saying, especially in the day that we live in right now, where we could just we can reach this amount of people, or reach this certain level with the amount of technology we have right now. I believe the only problem is the time, the amount of time that we have to do this, how consistent we have to be, and the amount of money that we have to put into what we're doing. If I had $100,000, let's say hypothetically, I would be able to accelerate what I'm doing 2, 3, 4 years ahead, because I have the money to do so. The problem is a lot of artists now don't have the patience, because everything is moving so fast. It's 2016. A lot of artists now don't have the patience to sit down and save the money to get production done, or to get promotion done, or to get marketing, or whatever else you need done financially. A lot of people don't have the time to sit down and write that, or write their budget out, or write this or that. So it's really like trying to sell your own cookies, or trying to sell your own T-shirts or something. Selling music, if anything, is harder because it's nothing really tangible. It's more of a emotional or feeling thing going on. So the discipline is something that a lot of artists lack. But I'm sure 5, 6 years from now, it would start to roll over to where people would become more accustomed to using the internet to promote and market and stuff like that. But it's more of a discipline thing. A lot of people can't sit down on Twitter for 2 hours and tweet and talk to people and network and stuff like that to get their followers up. But I'm not speaking for myself, because I've done it. That's how I met you guys. By networking and doing that stuff. But a lot of other people don't have the discipline or the time to sit down and do that. Even though that's all, that at the end of the day, it all falls on them. But one thing I wanted to speak on was how hip hop is pretty much like the next best thing. Or at least it's been like that for the last 15 years or so. But it's like now to the point where it's like, I kind of look at it like in phases, to make it a little more relatable to someone who isn't too much in the hip hop culture. I try to make it like rock music. First, it started off where it was like blues, where it wasn't necessarily rock music, but it was just more like Delta blues, shit like that. and then and then it moved on to like kind of like Cream kind of music, Beatles. Then you got like Hendrix and Zeppelin, and now I feel like hip hop is like past the point of we have all our legends now. Now it's like punk rock music, like it's just simple shit. Fuck the practice, just get it and go. You know, very simple, very quick music. That's how I feel like it's going through those kind of phases now, as in where because punk rock was pretty much do it yourself, do this, fuck a label, fuck practice, get to just make shit that make you feel good, you know. So that's why I kind of say hip hop is now. It's very rebellious. Very. That's why a lot of artists now aren't even trying to get on labels. You know, being that the technology and that the way the music industry is making the music go, it's just not even like it's now like now you if you're not in the club, you can't even enjoy this kind of music. You know. So it's like now getting to the point where it's really a big rebellion going on in the hip hop industry because uh it's like it's like the NBA now. Like 95% of the fucking players are black, but for some reason you a white guy owns this label, and if you look at his background, he has no hip hop background whatsoever. So how can you even own this or dictate this sport, and you don't even have any of this in you? You know, you listen to rock music or you listen to country music. So how can you even be over this? How can hip hop even be your jurisdiction? It really doesn't make sense. And then that just brings it to the point where obviously you're just in it for the money. You don't care how it affects the culture. You don't care how it affects the people because hip hop affects millions of young black males every day. You know, if you listen to the music that they listen to in Chicago or what they call Chirac, Southside Chicago, if you listen to that and you listen to the music that they listen to, you would understand why they act like that. All they listen to is bang bang shoot 'em up, Chief Keef drill music, you know, something that's just bang bang, bang bang shoot 'em up. That's what they listen to, and it's not because that's what they they would it's not because that's what they think they want to listen to because that is what they think. But if that's all you hear on the radio, if that's all you see on YouTube, if that's all access you got, what at the end, a year or 2 years into it, you're gonna want to start shooting people. You're gonna want to start selling drugs because that rhythm rhythm and melody affects your brain no matter how much you think it doesn't. That's basically what talking is, rhythm and melody. However, if I say this a certain way with this kind of tone, it would affect your brain and your emotions this way. And that's what music is, that's what talking is, that's what communication is. And if all I'm communicating to you is negative vibes, that's what you're going to turn into. And that's I don't know why it's like that, but the music industry now is just all, well, the majority of it is negative vibes. It's like 90% of it is just people who want to get money, so they're going to do whatever the hell the label tells them to do to get the money. And that's one thing I don't like, because it's dictating the culture of really urban youth, black people, not all black, but majority of the fans are black, but urban youth, middle class, lower class, regardless of race, that's pretty much urban right there. Regardless of what color you are, even if you're a white guy, because I have white friends and they listen to the same shit and they be on the same shit, as into where they want to have guns and drink codeine and all of this shit. Like, you're really affected by the music you listen to. And they don't want people to notice it, but it's true. It's very true.
Well, man, I mean, that, to be fair, that's always been there at the heart of hip hop ever since the beginning. Since the very early days, man. I mean, I remember I was always a big fan of people like Paris and Gravediggers and stuff like that. And they used to have whole songs where they were talking about fake ass people and stuff, man.
Exactly.
It's always been the same. But I think it's fascinating, man. You mentioned then about how where we are in relation to music and stuff, because it's fascinating you mentioned that, because I had a conversation over the last week with somebody, and I was relating to where we are right now to that 1978 moment in over here, where basically we had big bands, or your big arena rock bands, and it all became, the whole music industry became bloated. And in 1 year, out of that became two forks. One was metal music, which rose from the street, from England, and then the establishment came out with punk music, which was like, oh yeah, look this is, it was an establishment form of rebellion. They gave it
It,
You
It's
know?
a quick money grab. You know, you don't have to pay for this artist to be good. You don't have to pay for his studio time. Just quick money. Quick money. That's what that is to the music industry.
Exactly. But
Mark,
what?
heard of Frequency 432? Um, uh, Maybe Tim, you can tell him about Emotep in San Francisco. He's working on a project. You see, the Nazis discovered that certain frequencies cause people to get very agitated, angry, and that is the frequency that radios play at, that radio plays at now today, and they've known this for decades. And the frequency 432, when you play music at a different frequency called frequency 432, it causes a calming, loving response.
Mm-hmm.
So so what's going on in Chirac is I would say it's somewhat organized, contrived, created by somebody to basically cause mayhem.
It has to be because the majority of that music sounds the same, feels the same, and has the same messages in it. So I'm sure that music is a big part of the problem that they have in Chirac right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a huge problem.
yeah, Mark. That's exactly why I was relating it to. Like I say, 78, because at that moment, we'd have here the rebellious moment was the people of the real people. That's what I'm saying. They kind of gathered around metal music, and then the establishment came with this thing called punk, which is all like, as you know, big spiky hair, put an earring through your nose, say fuck off to the Queen. That's the establishment form of rebellion. But what I'm trying to say was, it was out of that situation, whether it falls into the punk one or into the other one, but it changed the world. And the same thing we're going to do now, because I'm sure you, as like you're saying, there's so many people that right now, as you said, Mark, uh, that are artists out there that are underfunded, under-resourced, haven't got the earpiece of the masses at the moment. But that can change. And you know the thing as well, Mark, and I'm really glad you tapped upon this, because I think it's one of the things that, again, it's one of the things more people, especially creators, need to understand, is that we've been brought up in a world where, because everything's like, you don't have to practice anything, don't put any work in, don't put any effort into anything, and your moment will happen in a moment when everyone looks at you and thinks you're really attractive, and that's your moment in X Factor or America's Got Talent, whatever. That's the model. Don't put any effort in, and like you said, it starts to affect, as you said, creators, because they think, oh, what's the point of putting effort in? And you can understand, because again, why would you want to put the effort into doing something right now when you're going to get nothing in return? But it stems back to, like you said, Mark, it stems back to, this is maybe the whole theme of this whole conversation, is that people have got to basically, in 2016, wake up themselves and understand, look, you can't, it's your choice. You're going down to the supermarket, or as you said earlier on, you're sitting down and watching the Kardashians and stuff. That's your choice you're making, and that's something we've all got to basically, that's what we can all do. The people who, which I'd say we all are in this conversation, we're all that kind of, that minded, that thought of process of how we think about things. All we can do to people is just go out into the world and just try to say to them, and don't preach them, but just say to them, look, spend some time. You've got the tools in your grasp right now, and if they don't want to listen to it, hey ho. I mean, what can you do? We don't. And then I think this ties back to what you said earlier on, Mark. In the conversation, this is what goes back to the morphic resonance one. And one of the provable ones about morphic resonance in the human context of how we all are as people is, it's the whole thing. Surround yourself by good people. When you surround yourself by good people, you realize how much you elevate yourselves and how much you start to, things go well for you. You have the odd negative person in, and they will drag you right down. And that is morphic resonance, because it's kind of like you're tuning into some nasty shit around you if that's who you surround yourself by. If you surround yourself by people who inspire you, man, you'll elevate yourself. And that's a simple evidence of morphic resonance, which we can all do. Basically, cut people out of your life who are dragging you down.
Yes. Yeah. And that's actually one thing that I was talking with me and my brother about, actually, and my cousin, is that, like, we like noticed, like we had friends where we would hang out with a lot, but like at some point in time, you put in a certain amount of work, but someone else does it. But you guys were really close at one point. Then the next year, all of a sudden, you guys hang out a little bit, less, you don't hang out with them at all, you know. And as an adult, you have to understand that that's happening because your work ethic doesn't match with theirs. So you guys aren't going to move at the same pace. And and the friendship wise, I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, if you're trying to reach this certain level of success, you can't let that hold you back at all. You know, you gotta keep moving forward, and that's one thing that a lot of people have trouble with doing. Or you'll work so hard for this, and then you'll come back and your friends will be like, oh, you not real, or you don't blah blah blah, or you don't really care this and that. But like you could care up to a certain point. Like you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You understand? Like I could show you so much, but if you don't apply this information, I might as well should have told a dog or a baby or something, you know?
Hmm.
Because you're not gonna apply it. So what's the point? What's the point of coming back to help for no reason for you to become more complacent or stay in the same spot? So I just figured, you know, if you get around more people who work hard as you or even harder, then you would advance. You would get better. You would reach another level. You know, you'll level up. And that, a lot of people can't. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't push that aside to better themselves.
Yeah, man, and that's the wisdom of it all. It's surrounding yourself not by, when I say surround yourself by people who inspire you, I don't mean that, because that's, to me, what I'm about to describe is it can be the worst of all kinds. Is when you surround yourself by people who are just yes men, and they tell you everything is great, and yes, you're what you're doing, Mark, what
That's
you're doing is
the worst.
brilliant, and you know you don't need those people in your life. What you need is people around you who inspire you, because those people like me, Mark, when I see anything what you do, I don't think, oh God, oh God, he's getting. No, I want you to do well. I want you to do well because I'm inspired by what you do. So it serves my purpose to make you do really well and give you as much light as possible. And that's what true inspiration is. Because then
Yeah.
you're listening to someone. So if I say to you, Mark, like, oh, that last tune, man, and I'll say to you, now you may not listen to me. You might go, no, that's my. But you'll listen to my opinion more than if I was just like, yeah, Mark, you're great, you're great, you're great, and everything, all the time you're just being a yes man. Because it's like, no, you need real friends, and real friends are the ones that are inspired by what you do, and equally have got the honesty to turn around to you and say to you, "No, look, Mark, what are you doing here, or what are you doing here, and why did you do this?" Not in a negative way, but just in a constructive way. Do you understand?
Yes, very, very much so. A lot of people would be scared to give you some kind of constructive criticism because they don't want to be shunned away, you know. But if you are an artist, that is pretty much what your whole life is, constructive criticism. If it's not, then you're not a true artist. If no one's come to you and said that sucks, or if no one's come to you and said that's lovely, you're not a true artist. If you just had middle ground the whole time, you're not pulling any emotions, you're not pulling any strings on anybody's heart. You know, you're not affecting them enough. You know, they gotta feel something. If they hate it or love it, it gotta be either that. There's no in between. There is no like I hate it or I love it. If that's what makes an artist. There's no in between. I look at Kanye West. He's like the truest artist of them all. Everything he says gets a response, regardless of if people like it or hate it. Everything he does gets a response. If you look at his clothing line, that's just like $2,600 for a fucking sweater. I wouldn't personally buy it, but just to look at it, how it affected so many people by him just releasing that, that's a work of art in itself. Just he released that, and everybody else like, damn, either I don't got enough money, fuck that, or I want more money to get that. You know, so you affecting people like that is a great. That is art. You know, there is no, oh well, that was cool. Then you didn't do your job as an artist. You need to come harder. Put some naked ladies in that shit, or curse more. Do something. You know, do something to get some kind of reaction. That is the only objective of an artist. Get a reaction. That is what artists supposed to be doing.
Exactly, man. I mean, the whole point of yeah, where it's visual arts or musical arts and stuff like exactly. That's the privileged position we're in. We're the outsiders, which means we got the ability to sit there, view the outside world, and then too right, we can shine the light on it. We can prick their ego bubbles. That's our job, man. Our job is to make the comfortable norm, uncomfortable. Because that's if we're not doing it, man. If the artists and the creators aren't doing this, then who the fuck is going to do it, man? Because you're not going to see people in suits complaining.
Exactly. We need somebody to stir the controversy that's gonna move us to the next level as people. Like we really do. Like it something has to start the conversation. And we need some kind of icebreaker to start any conversation, but one that's gonna advance us to the next level, to make us closer as a people. We need somebody to do it, uh that'll be the only way we advance, man. It's the only way. We need something to spark that conversation. Whether it's a conversation about race or religion or class, we need somebody to click it. Turn the light on for us a little bit. Just make a song about it, and then somebody is sitting out, or make a picture or video or something about it. Then you'll actually have somebody sit down and think about it. You're like, maybe I should look into this situation, or maybe I should try to create something. You want to evoke people, man. You don't just want them to just sit there and feel stale.
No, man, and it goes back to the whole bigger point of life. I mean, this is what people need to realize, and I swear this breaks down to the whole point of the whole existence of everything. People think they're immortal, and they think that life's going to go on forever, and they're going to retire with their kids. When the truth is, we can all be taken out like that, and life is quicksand, and we've only got this one shot. So yeah, exactly. Do what you can, man. Shine. Be controversial. Do everything. Cause a reaction. I mean, you've only got one shot at this thing, man. To sit back and be like, oh, I'm going to retire in the corner and not do anything. Well, to me, then you're not an artist. You might as well just be an audience member. Because if you're going to stand up on that stage and you put your head above the parapet, don't just come out with a whisper. Come out with a shout. If you're going to come out as a boxer, don't just come out and go, "Ooh, I don't like you, you nasty man." No, come out and slog him. Give him a good punch.
Exactly.
Come out fighting, man.
Exactly, man. You got to come out that tunnel like Ray Lewis, man. You got to be 100% with anything you do, bro. You got to be 100%, man. If you're not, it's not going to go over how you expect it at all. And you got to have that confidence in yourself, man. That's one thing. It's like, with all of this Instagram shit and all of this Facebook and all of this stuff, it's somehow it's even harder for people to be more confident in themselves now. And I don't even get how that even happens. You got all of this technology to communicate with so many people, and you just cannot be confident in yourself. That is something that's very mind-boggling to me. You have all of the means to boost your confidence, but you decide not to. That is
But
a failure to be a human being.
Man, that goes back into, like you said earlier on, Mark. That's part of the human nature of people. People like to be part of the herd, part of the crowd, and part of the crowd means you don't stick up, you don't put your head above the parapet, you go with the flow. If hair's floppy, we all wear floppy hair. If tight jeans are in, we'll wear. And mate, that's never gonna go away. I've seen that all the life, but that like you say, I mean, to me, I think they're almost childish pursuits. When you get to a certain age in your life or a certain point, you're like, really? Are you still following those same childish pursuits of wearing tight jeans or floppy hair? Come on, man. That's the point. But hey, I mean, what as you said, Mark, what can you do? The only thing you can do to them, there's no point trying to preach to them. All you can do to try to do is inspire them and go, look, this is what a free human being, a mind can do, and hopefully that inspires them to go, oh, actually, instead of working in McDonald's, I'll go and do something creative. And that's what I'm trying to say. And this is why I can think the convergence is coming this year, because if we can have people that are seeing people that are inspired them, and we can go, there's actually a means where it's like, oh, if I actually do something, I will get rewarded for it directly, and it's going to help me start doing it. Then it starts to be steps along a path of actually, I want to produce and I want to create, rather than right now it's like, oh, what's the point? It's all effort, and you can understand why people are like they are, man. Because people, it's a human trait, man. We're quite lazy beings. I mean, to get anybody to, I mean, that's why I'm always, man. I always tell people like you in highest respect, because anyone that gets out at night time wants to go up on the stage and play in front of people. To me, it's kind of like, yeah, because there's so many people in this world who just don't want to get out of their bed or in front of the TV. So all power to you, man. I think that's what separates someone like yourself from them. And I think the only thing that separates, the reason most people are comfortable and sit around in their fat chairs and go to the malls and all the rest of it and watch basketball is because they just think they've got no understanding. They just think they're going to live forever and everything's going to be fine. And I'll tell you what, you wait till they have a car crash or someone close to them dies, and you watch how much their attitude changes. It's like, oh, suddenly life's important. I've got to start living it, and
I gotta live it up. Oh yeah, that's the thing. You can't wait until that wake up call comes and give it to you. You gotta already be up. You gotta already be up, man. You gotta be expecting that to happen. But why wait till that? Why wait for that? Why not just be productive now? Why not create now? Or why not try to pursue what you want to be? Because not everyone wants to be an entertainer, but at least try to be something where you can make a change. Like my girl now, who I was just in the car with, she wants to be a cop. And I told her, like, that's so much power that you have if you was to be a cop. You could stop guys like me from getting shot. For that matter, you could affect people's lives. You really can. But you gotta be willing to do that, not just I want to fucking flip burgers. You gotta be wanting to do something to affect lives, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the other thing as well, man. It's a big white elephant in the room, and again, nobody seems to be talking about this, but even the idea of flipping burgers as a way out is going to be disappearing very quickly with the technology that's rising, man. I mean, artificial intelligence is going to wipe the Burger King person away. It's going to wipe.
Yeah, I've seen McDonald's in I think Colorado or California. They already have self checkout machines where you order your food there and pay there. So it's like it's getting there to the point to where you're not even going to need them anymore.
But again, I don't. I mean, I hear people talking about, when I have a conversation, they go like, "Oh no, it's going to be a really bad thing," and I'm like, "Well, really? I think it's a great thing. I don't want human beings to be working and serving me burgers. That should never be a human being's role, man. They paid
like you want to fucking drop fries for a living. You want to see that's what people try to take the easy way out. There is no easy way at all. And if it's an easy way, it's going to be 100 easy ways to get to where you're trying to go instead of just taking that one hard route. You're going to just be leading yourself on to failure or leading yourself to disappointment by trying to take shortcuts and trying to do this and that instead of just working hard for what you want to do. Make that your life work.
Exactly, my friend. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I always say to people, all the time, it's like you only ever regret the things you don't do. And I say this because I'm a man in my 40s, and I've had friends of mine, and it's like, and they just look back, and I was having a conversation just last week, and it's like, gee, I wish I'd done so much more in my 20s. I wish I'd done so much more in my 30s, but they didn't. They just, and it's gone now. They can't go back, and and people need to realise that. Oh. Mark seems to have disappeared. Rich, can you hear me? Or am I just left by myself? Because if I am, I'm going to kill this podcast.
Hey, I guess I don't know if he's going to come back in, but I'm going to go ahead and clock out. And that was a good talk. Mark is really informed. He knows a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, man. And there we go. Perfect.
Okay. Well, I'm heading out anyway, so y'all take care.
Rich. All right, man. Well, I'll see you, Rich. If I don't speak to you beforehand, I'll speak to you in Ants on Saturday, my friend.
Right on. All right. Take care.
See you later, Rich.
Nice to see you. Yeah, I kind of lost connection.
So, Mark, I mean, you mentioned at the beginning of the, when we started off this, so you kind of, you mentioned you got some sort of plans coming up. I mean, so sort of tell me more about that. I mean, you obviously got some shows coming up, but what's your hopes for this year, man? Are you having to drop an album, an EP? What's your plans?
Yeah, actually, I'll be dropping the album. If not the end of this month, February, I'll be dropping the album, and I'm let me scratch a little bit. but yeah, I'm trying to get like some features, you know, from some because we have a couple big name artists down here in Miami. That's like they're not like Rick Ross or anything, but they're like, you know, pretty having a pretty nice start. So I'm just trying to get some features from them. You know, nice amount of artwork. I'm gonna have stickers and stuff. I wanna like UPS you or some stickers or something, man, if I can, dude. Because I'm gonna have some stickers and some merchandise and stuff coming up, and I want to be able to share them with you guys. So that um a lot of collaborations going on, uh music videos, photo shoots, but the music videos I have the one that Ryan had did for me that I'll be releasing this year. And I've shot another one that my friend had shot for me. He's editing it now. And when I get that third one done, I'll start releasing the music videos, and I'll link you in and everything, so you'll know every time that drops, that you'll know exactly when to look. You'll know exactly when it's out.
Well, man, one of the things, and again, I mean, we're going to be starting at the end of this month, and it'd be great to sort of get you involved in this, and maybe at some point, I'm going to be starting a thing called the sessions, and it's going to be basically where we all have the guest and five other guests on the screen at the same time. And in the space of the period of the session, maybe an hour, 2 hours, we create a song, and then that's released onto with a bit of a crypto wallet, and we all get rewarded for that, how much that makes. And I think this is going to be these are just the early sort of steps towards what I think is going to be coming a lot, which I think is going to be the collaboration one. So, like I say, man, it's going to be a fascinating year ahead, really. Now, one of the things, Mark, we kind of spoke before we kind of the period of before coming live on this podcast, and I did mention, and I want to give this a good sort of like conversation before we actually sort of finish on this. You chose 360 Blindside. Now that tune particularly has a lot of resonance with me. You know what I mean? As I told you in a private conversation, as that tune has a lot of resonance, and I wanted to sort of really kind of like, why was it that song that you particularly wanted to sort of finish this podcast on, and what's your sort of general thoughts behind it? What give me some sort of like details about that song, because it's a very, I don't know, I could read it a million ways, and I'm interested to hear what your thought process was when you were writing those lyrics.
360 Blindside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the way it came about actually was when I was on my way to work, because I have lots of free time on my way to work, so I'll write 2-3 lines here and there, and what happened was that I had like the hook or the chorus for it already, whereas me and my niggas in all black, I had that already, and I was just trying to find a way to make it a song, you know. So I was just day after day I write 2-3 lines, 2-3 lines, 2-3 lines, and then after a while I just was like, you know what, I don't think I have enough for it, but let me just try to put it on a beat. So when I put it on a beat, and the words just kind of, like I said, I only had the hook for it, but when I put it on a beat and started rapping the hook, the words just kind of started just coming. It just started coming, and then I wrote the verse like literally right there in one sitting. In about 5-6 minutes, I wrote the verse. Like, cause I've been doing a lot of research on a lot of things, and that was like around the time where I decided where I was going to make a lot of like pro black music to just kind of, I don't know, it makes me feel better, and I say it's pro black basically because of what I'm talking about, but you don't have to be black to listen to it or enjoy it, because a lot of the people that I perform for are white people, so they really dig that kind of, they really like, if any song that I've done, they really enjoy that one. But really I was just trying to get I was just scratching the surface with that song, honestly. I didn't put too much facts in it because I still wanted it to be where it wouldn't go over too many people's heads, and you could still kind of create your own meaning about it. But at the same time, like when I would say like the Finch pyramids are home, and the body count rising and stuff like that, like those are facts. Like there's people, like people are dying like on a large scale in the African American community. Murder rate is just rising. People dying from from the hands of their own friends and family and stuff like that. And that's something I wanted to address, but I wanted to do it in a way where it would make it seem like a party song or a song that has a lot of energy, but the words are something that really make you think. Like you don't hear a lot of rappers talk about ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet or even the murder rate. You don't hear a lot of rappers talk about that anymore. So I'm just trying to shed light on that situation, but at the same time make it sound familiar. Like it's called trap music, but I'm trying to make it like conscious trap music. Where it sounds familiar, it sounds like Future, or it sounds like Chief Keef, but the lyrics are intelligent. So that's kind of what I was trying to do with that song, which was the first one of its kind, and it got a really nice response. So a lot of more of my new music would be similar to that, or a 360 blindside where I'm trying to enlighten, but at the same time trying to have fun. So that's what I was trying to get at with that song.
So what's the I mean I mentioned this, as you know, because you know how much I love my kind of like guitars and stuff like that. So you got any plans for the new material to sort of go back and get that rock that guitar out and do some heavy stuff, or is that kind of like
Of course. I don't I want that part to come as a surprise. I don't necessarily want to speak on it too much because I want people to just say, "Oh, he just raps. He doesn't play instruments or anything." I don't even want people to even think of that. I just want them to see or listen to the album and all of a sudden they hear guitar solo. They're like, "What? Wait, what? Let me." Or they hear a rock song and they like, "What? Wait, what is this the same album? And is this the same? Did he play this?" And they're like, "Whoa, he does stuff that I didn't even know." And that will open the door to a whole new element of music for me. So I'm trying to make that come as a surprise because I already have songs and music that I have that rock music, and I could just write, a verse to it in a hip hop style. So that's something that I'm still trying to perfect. So when the first track comes out like that, it's just like perfect. So I would be setting the standard for that. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to do with that. I'm trying to keep that low key, but it is definitely going to be on my next album. That would definitely have music, more guitar oriented music. That will be on my next album.
Man, I was gonna. It's one of the things I never got around to asking you in the last podcast. But when you obviously picking up that guitar and stuff like that, when you're and I speak as someone who plays the guitar, not to the level you're at, but is there always one tune or one track that you always start? When you pick it up, your go-to. I mean, I say that because I've got a couple of go-to tunes that I'll always go to, and just to warm me up. And I was wondering the same with you. Is there any particular like go-to tunes you always when you pick up that guitar, it's like, yep, that's what I'm going into, whatever it may be.
Um,
If so, what are they? Obviously.
um, I as in a warm up tune because I do a lot of lead stuff. There's a Hendrix song that a lot of people don't know of. It's called Villanova Junction,
Yeah.
and he performed it at Woodstock. I do that version just like to warm up and stuff, get my scales and my modes and stuff right. But as into like some of my favorite songs to play on the guitar. Hold on, someone calling me. Oh, I'll call you back. But yeah, as into like some of my favorite music to play is actually not it's not that intricate. I actually like to play like Nirvana, uh Pearl Jam, uh Zeppelin, stuff like it's intricate but not too much. It's just a lot of fun music. I like having fun. I don't try to stay too technical with it, even though I know a good amount of music theory. I don't try to keep it too technical. I just try to play stuff that I have fun playing. No matter what skill level I'm at. But Hendrix, Nirvana, that's pretty much what I start off with when I'm trying to get in that right mind of playing. Hendrix and Nirvana is really my go to band.
Well, man, it's quite mad you sort of mentioned both of those because I had you know, at the end of the year, I was thinking last year, thinking, wonder what Jimi Hendrix would be doing right now if he was still on this planet. What would he be doing? That was one fascination that got me. And on the other one, when you just mentioned Nirvana, man, and I've only just sort of kind of caught wind of this myself. Apparently, there's a documentary. I think it's already been released, but it's going to be having more. I think it's Netflix in the next year, which basically is going to blow the lid on the fact that Courtney Love basically the whole Kurt Cobain Kim committed suicide is a load of bollocks, man. And well, they're implying that basically she put the the bullet through his head, man. So that's another fascinating avenue that I'll go and check people to go and check out, man. I can't remember the name of the documentary, but it's coming out this year. So
Yeah, I've heard of that a couple times. That a lot of people believe that Kurt Cobain was just really too high on heroin to have shot himself, according to like his I guess the amount of heroin that was in his system. Like they say he would have basically overdosed 2 times over with that amount of heroin in him, which would have made it impossible for him to, shoot himself. But I believe honestly, like a lot of people on heroin, like they're very depressed, very sad, and if anything, I do believe Kurt Cobain killed himself because it's like a tolerance level, like even though they say he would have overdosed 2 times on that amount of heroin, you can't forget like he been doing heroin for like 10 years up to that point. So his tolerance is not even, even though I don't know how it is to be on heroin or how your tolerance affects the drug, because all I do is really smoke marijuana. So I'm sure like my tolerance level is to the point where like, if I would have smoked one joint, I would be really high. But now I have to need like 2 or 3 joints. So it's like I don't necessarily like you can't overdose on marijuana, so I don't know how it would affect you if to have that lethal amount of heroin in you. You know what I'm saying? So it's blurry to know whether he shot himself or not, because I know he had a high tolerance, but I don't know how the tolerance affects you with heroin.
no, I
So
mean,
I really
I was just meaning it in the broad stroke of, man, like you said earlier on, man. It's just another one of those list of people that are gone. Jimi Hendrix gone. Kurt Cobain gone. I mean, even Christmas, man. Lemmy gone. That's another one gone.
yeah, you definitely man.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to say, man. I like you go back to sort of the tunes you go back to, man. I love going back to someone, and that's what I try to say to people. As much as it's listen to the new stuff, man. I go back and listen to some old Black Sabbath, man. And I tell you what, then you really get the kind of feel, because that's what I'm trying to say, man. That's why I was asking about the Jimi Hendrix one. Is that it's a shame that some of these people that did sort of forge a path are no longer with us, and it's always fascinating at the end of the year to sort of think, I wonder where they would be now. I wonder where. That's what I'm saying. I would love to know what Jimi Hendrix would be doing now. I really would, because he'd be an old man, but would he still?
I think about that too, but then I look at it like if they would not have died that young, regardless of their skill level, would they be considered that great? Like if Kurt Cobain would not have died at the height of Nirvana, would Nirvana not be considered, one of the greatest grunge bands ever, if not the best grunge band ever? If Hendrix would not have died at 27, would he still be considered the greatest guitar player of all time? Or if you look at Biggie or Tupac, the hip hop pioneers, if Tupac wouldn't have died at 25, or if Biggie would have had a chance to make more records, would those two even still be considered that great? So I look at that their death is more like a blessing to them in their art, because that made them timeless. It made them immortal, by them dying that kind of way. It made them immortal. So
Yeah, man.
I wouldn't want Hendrix, even though I don't want anyone to die, of course, but I wouldn't even want to know. I wouldn't even want to know where he would be at, or where Kurt Cobain would be at. I wouldn't even want to know, because right now it's just perfect. That storyline right there is perfect for them.
Man, I know what you mean, man. I mean, the perfect example of that is someone like, and again, one of my heroes growing up as a kid, man. To this day, I think I rate him as one of the top 5 comedians, Eddie Murphy. But then he was like, Eddie Murphy could have done with like disappearing off the planet in the 90s before he went into all the 2000s and what we're going on now, man. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's best just to walk away and leave your your legacy as it is, man.
Leave it. You've done enough work. Leave it there. Yes, I understand that 100%.
Do you know
I
what I mean?
understand that, but Richard Pryor is still considered one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time, and he got a chance to live his reign all the way out. You know.
Yeah, man. So that's what I'm saying, man. I always sort of think it pops down to basically if you're doing consistently good work and you're always trying to progress stuff, man, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It works both ways because you can get some people that do. Man, BB King was still rocking out a tune into these '90s, man. You know, so
For real.
it's so. Do you know what I mean? It's so, man. So, like you said, you've got your new album coming out this year. You got some gigs sort of coming out. You know, sort of stuff like that. I mean, are you on the on? I was going to mention on the new stuff you're doing. Is Frankie playing with you, or is he going to be, not at all?
Um, I'm on some of the rock stuff because I'm going to be fusing it with hip hop. He's definitely going to be helping me on some of that. He'll be playing some keys on it. You know, he'll be playing some guitar on it. So I have a couple other musician friends that will be helping me on it as well. I have a friend. Her name's Shada Goddess. She'll be helping me. She's a really talented pianist. She's classically trained, and
Nice,
she's really good at playing piano. So I'll have her helping me as well.
nice,
But
man. So,
yeah, Frankie will be helping me. Shada Goddess will be helping me. I'm gonna have a lot of my friends coming by helping me with the new album. It's gonna be a really. I'm trying to make it a masterpiece. You know.
well, man, and that's the one great thing about where we are right now is that. And I've been saying this for a long time, man. And I do sense this, and I think this is a bit kind of theme of this conversation. I think there's a new wave that's just about to just blow everything away. And if that's what I'm saying, man. If us who are creators right now, man, we've got the ability to ride that wave for a long time and be seen as a vanguard. And do you know what? Good. I'd rather have people looking up to Marq Iggy than I would do looking up to someone like Taylor Swift who's not doing anything for the consciousness of this planet. So all power to
That
him.
is that is that's true. That's true. You know, we need a positive role models. Honestly, at this point in time, where there really is no one trying to help or trying to enlighten anyone, either whether they're scared or whatever the case may be, they're not trying. So we need more people like us, Tim. We need more people like us.
Well, man, I mean, I think this is. I mean, before we sort of wrap this up, man, I think this very example of this kind of open conversation we've had now for nearly 2 hours. This is exactly the model for the future, and this is what separates people like yourself, Mark, and separates all the people that are creative in this world from the people like your Taylor Swift. Man, Taylor Swift couldn't do this for 2 hours. She wouldn't know what to say. Her idea, she's vacuous, and it would show up for being a vacuous, just an airhead. And this is the thing. Whereas this is why I've always gone down this line with this kind of format of conversation, because I've always been like, I'd love to. Bill Hicks has always been a massive hero of mine, and other than a few little clips I can see him online with him, I would love to think, oh man, it'd be great now that after he's dead, I could go back and listen to what he had to say when he was doing his first album. And this is the way that things are going to happen. These kind of conversations, I think, 5-6 years down the line, I think this will be the format for all kind of program. I
And
think
these are the kind of conversations they don't want to have on television. You will never see
exactly.
because it actually shows truth and unity in people. You know, they don't want that. They want to separate us, divide us to the point where they could come and keep us all up. You know, but we're the revolution. We are the revolution. We are. It won't be televised. It'll be on the internet.
Exactly. No. That's exactly it, man. The real revolution is going to not only is it going to happen on the internet. The real revolution is going to be when they one day they wake up and it's like, again. And I always use this, and I think it's sort of, before we finish this up, it's a perfect analogy of what it is in nature. I've always been fascinated with bees when they change from one hive to another. So at the end of the cycle, the queens go out and they separate, and when one hive is off to another hive, a few scout bees will go out and they do all their research about where the best place is, and they'll come back to they have a bivouac where the hive all hang around in a tree. That's when you see them hanging on telephone poles. And in that moment, the few of the scout bees will come back and they tell a few people and they try to persuade the group, like, this is where we should go, or this is where we go. But once they've made their collective decision, man, that swarm will disappear from that. Say it's hung on a telephone pole, it'll gone to its new nest in a space of 10 minutes. And exactly the same is going to happen with us as human beings. They're going to look back and go, Well, wait a minute. Facebook ruled everything, and Google were in control, and now they're not relevant, and they do not see it coming, man. And like you said, it's not going to be relevant. It's not going to be on TV. You ain't going to hear about this on Twitter. It's going to happen, and then the real revolution is going to happen when you're like, oh shit. We didn't know any of this was happening, and we just wake up one day and Twitter's not relevant, and Facebook isn't relevant, and then all these old corporations aren't relevant. That's the real revolution, man. And I think it's coming. I think it's coming really, really quick, really close. And I do really think it's going to be as quick as we see in nature. It will happen overnight and in a flash. And in 6 months, everyone will be like, "Oh, what the fuck happened?" And that's how I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I believe so too, man. I believe it's going to happen just as fast as dial-up disappeared. That's exactly how it's going to happen. Like, bam, it's going to be very, very quick. Very quick.
Well, man, before we sort of finish this podcast, man, I mean, obviously, well, put this definitely. When the minute you've got anything you coming out, man, you're always more than welcome to come on this and, you know, to do anything you want to, you know, talk about it. And we you know, ask, like I said, I'll do all my power to sort of, you know, tell everyone about what you're doing, because it's, as I said before, man, and I mean this sincerely, and I say this a lot, but I really mean it, because I want to live in a world where Marq Iggy is known. I want to live in a world where Frankie Midnight and all these people I inspire me, they're known, and I want that to happen. So, you know, all power to it, man. And if I can just do my little bit of pointing people in the right direction, hey, it's all I can do. So it's all good, all for the good at the end of the day, my man.
That's brilliant. I wanted to make it where this is like has hundreds of thousands of viewers. So hopefully we could reach that.
Man, it's coming. I mean, the whole thing is coming, man. And that's what I'm trying to say, man. That's the whole point. I would say to just generally right now, it's like everything else. I mean, I've seen this in music and you've seen everything. It starts off, you build and step by step, and all the time, as long as you see the steps going along, and it's, you know, like same with your music to gigs, man. You start off with maybe 10 people, and then you see 20 people, but the steps between finding one person to 10 people may be hard, and 10 people to 20 people is easier. But the step between 100 and 1,000 is a piece of piss, because at the time you've got 100 people, and that's where we are now. It's a momentum rolling, man. So it's inevitable, man. This stuff is on. Nobody can.
You gotta stay consistent and keep going, man. That's the best way to do it.
Man, like I said before, man, I don't mean to be in any kind of way melodramatic, but the only way they're going to stop this is if they take us all out. And if they took us all out, man, and put us all, you know, chucked us out of planes or put bullets in it, it's just going to make a set of huge, great big martyrs that everyone's going to go, whoa, whoa. So, yeah, there's nothing they can do, man. This is inevitable. The change is happening.
It only is dividing us. That's the best thing they could do is divide us.
Cool, man. Well, man, before we finish on the song, and I know you got things to do and stuff like that, man. I'm gonna leave it over to you before we go into the song. And I basically, you know, what would be your parting message for the people listening and watching, man? What would you want to leave them with?
So, to everybody watching, excuse me for the distraction, but to everybody watching, I just want y'all to know: research, and after you research and after that checks out, share. That's the most important thing we can do right now for each other and as a people, because the internet is not regulated as of now, and we need to take advantage of that. We need to mobilize, we need to share, we need to enlighten each other and become more intelligent. I believe that is the message.
Well, man, I couldn't have said that any better, my man. So, well, we're going to finish on 360 Blindside, man. So from here in Scotland and over there in Miami, man, life is people.
They try and destroy my mind. Been gone since like the age of 6. Living life is so irrelevant if you're not trying to find a way to make a difference, and that's what I've been told. So naturally, I should come out fine. So why do I have so much fucked up shit on my mind? It's like the more we live our life, the more we see decline, the more we seek the truth, the more places it has to hide. Like it's all dark, everything shadowy outside. It's basically pitch black. I'm talking the 360 blind side. I'm talking the 360 blind side. I'm talking the 360 blind side. Me and my niggas in all black. I'm talking the 260 blind side. I'm talking the 260 blind side. I'm talking the 260 blind side. Me and my niggas in all black. I'm talking the 260 blind side. They try and destroy my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind. Me and my niggas in all black. I'm talking the 360 blind side. They try and destroy my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind. Me and my niggas in all black. It's about time I've been relentless with this pencil. It's about time I realize my full potential. From the cradle to the grave, from the streets into my mental. Trying to spit the hardest shit, like I got fucked up dental. Like without these fans, a nigga would just be nothing. Without fans, your favorite rapper's just another nigga frontin', claiming that they got it. And if they do, I bet them niggas ain't sharing. Them niggas are cotton soft, bitch made rich and scary. Just look at the block, boy. It's hard as a furnace, it's burning. Like, look at the body count. My nigga, it's rising, it's rising. Like, what did they do to the black male? It's like they have us all blackmail. It's like we committed the massacres. We know who committed the massacres. Maybe we should look at the past life, see the behavior and change. Look at the past like Malcolm X and Dr. King. Go back to the times we were pharaohs, boy. Go back to the times we were kings. Cause we are spiritual beings. Get away from that religion. This shit is written in the stone. The fiction pyramids are home. The fiction pyramids are home. The fiction pyramids my home. My mind been gone since like the age of 7. Living life is so irrelevant if you're not trying to find a way to make a difference, and that's what I've been told. So naturally I should come out fine. So why do I have so much fucked up shit on my mind? It's like the more we live our lives, the more we see decline, the more we seek the truth, the more places it has to hide. Like it's all dark, everything shadow, we outside. It's basically pitch black. I'm talking the 360 blind side. I'm talking the 360 blind side. I'm talking the 360 blind side. Me and my niggas in all black. I'm talking the 360 blind side. I'm talking the 360 blind side. I'm talking the 360 blind side. Me and my niggas in all black. I'm talking the 360 blind side. They try and destroy my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind. Me and my niggas in all black. I'm talking the 360 blind side. They try and destroy my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind. Me and my niggas in all black.